Hey, this is Coach Jason at Art of War MMA and Fitness again. Today I'm going to show you guys a really simple strength training routine that will cover all the basic movement patterns that you can do in your apartment, in your house. You don't have to have dumbbells and kettlebells. I'm going to use a couple of improvised weights here. And so I'm going to encourage you, there's a couple exercises where it's nice to have some sort of improvised weight, and I trust you guys can find something around your house to do that. But basically, this is very low maintenance stuff, doesn't require a lot of gear. Why is strength training so important? It's probably, I would say, the most important part of fitness, because getting stronger will help you in everything you do. It makes everything easier. You're going to move better, you're going to feel better, you're going to look better, it's going to improve your metabolism, you're going to get injured less. You ladies out there are going to have much less chance of developing osteoporosis later. It's got a host of benefits. So I would say it's the cornerstone of any fitness routine is some form of strength training. It's going to boost your immune system, right? It's going to be a thing that can help you get through this whole virus thing and become a more healthy person on the other side. Also, this is, like I said, a great thing to do. Those of you that are martial artists and you can't practice your chosen martial art right now, maybe you're into jiu-jitsu and you don't have a partner, this is stuff you can do. And this is something that I'm going to show you this whole workout here. You could do this like 3 days a week. You could do it every other day, or you could just alternate the A series and the B series that I show you, okay? Essentially, again, there's so much information on strength training out there. If you can just break down all the basic strength training stuff into a few basic categories, right? You have knee dominant moves, which are like squatting and lunge variations. You have hip dominant moves, which are deadlifts and bridging variations. And then you've got a horizontal push and pull, and you've got a vertical push and a vertical pull, okay? So that's pretty much, if you're designing a strength training routine, you're just trying to, each week, you're trying to check all those boxes, right? I would also add loaded carries. Now, you may not have heavy enough stuff at your apartment or your house to do loaded carries with, so I'll demonstrate that as an option at the end, but again, that's sort of optional. So the first couple movements I'm going to show you are combination movements, meaning we're going to check off multiple categories with both of these first two that I'm going to show you. Okay. For the first one, we're going to be doing a knee dominant squatting motion, and we're going to pair that with an overhead press. Okay. Now I have brought a really simple prop here. Okay. I'm sure many of you have jugs of fluids or something that's got some sort of way that you can grab it. And then you could press it overhead, okay? You're going to have to look around your house and maybe be a little creative. And so what we're going to do here is I'm going to show you the simplest version of the knee dominant move right first, which is just a squat. Okay, imagine I'm holding this water right here in this rack position. What I'm going to do is I'm going to get my feet a little wider than shoulder width apart. I'm going to point my toes outward just a little bit. And basically, I'm going to put my butt back like I'm sitting into a chair. I'm going to push my knees out, and I'm going to try to go where my thighs are parallel to the ground. As I stand up, I'm going to press this straight overhead. Okay? Now, this handle's not quite as handy as a dumbbell or kettlebell handle, but it works. Okay? Alternatively, if you feel good, I could always hold it up like this. Okay? Slightly wider than shoulder width with my legs here. Okay? As I sit down, keeping my back straight, I'm going to push my knees out just a little bit. I used this hand out as like a counterweight to help me sit down. I'm going to rise up and I'm going to press straight overhead. Okay. I'm also going to exhale when I do that press, because just like with the floor slides, what we don't want to have is when we're doing the press, we don't want to be arching our back, right? We want to think about tightening those abs as I press. Okay. So one more time. This is just a squat and an overhead press. Breathing in, breathing out and pressing. Okay, so again, I might do 5 of these on each side for 10 squats total. And you can vary the number of reps that you're doing based on the resistance that you're working with. If you're working with a lighter object, you might do more reps, like in the 10 rep range. If you're working with something that's very heavy, you would use less reps, okay? Don't overthink it. Again, this is just like something to keep you in shape until you can get back in the gym. So I would obviously then switch to my left hand, right? I would do an equal number of squats and presses on my left side. Now, some of you are going to want something more challenging, okay? For some of you, the squats are too easy and you're going to want to do something more challenging like a back step lunge, okay? So a back step lunge would be, I'm just going to step back, go down, barely touch. I'm gonna come back into the position, and then I'm gonna hit my overhead press. Back step lunge, overhead press. Okay, again, I might do 5 to 10 on each side. Another variation that you can do is you can do a lateral lunge, right? And if I'm doing a lateral lunge, now I'm going to be working these adductors and my abductors a little more. And so now I'm going to be moving away from the side that I'm holding the weight on. Okay, so go here. Now my left leg is working a lot. I'm going to return to the starting position, and then I'll press overhead. Okay? Okay, each time I'm just doing a really easy exhale as I press overhead. Let's say I did 5 on that side, then I would switch, right? And I would do 5 on this side. Getting all the way down, getting a nice bend in my knee, right? These are knee dominant exercises, i.e. squatting and lunge variations. So you're gonna have quite a bit of bend in your knee. That's why they're called knee dominant exercises. Okay? And the press. So all we're doing there is we're combining a squatting motion or a lunging motion with an overhead press, right? So we just checked 2 of our boxes that we want to check off as part of our full body strength training. The next thing we're going to do, we're going to check off the hip dominant lift with a glute bridge, and we're going to check off our overhead pull, right? So we just did our overhead press. Now we want to do an overhead pull. Now, if you have access to pull-up bars like I do because I own this gym, super easy. I'm going to go and I'm going to do pull-ups, okay? But many of you may not have access to a place where you can do pull-ups or a cable where you can pull down, right? This motion I'm going to show you is a way that you can get that overhead pulling motion. Also, you can work your glutes, right? Through this hip dominant bridge that I'm going to tell you. So what we're going to do here, we're going to grab our weight. Okay, it could be anything that you can hold on to. What I'm going to do is I'm going to push off my right heel. I'm going to put my left foot straight in the air. If you don't have the flexibility for that, you can just bend it and keep it. The main thing is I just want you to use one leg at a time. I'm going to bridge my hips up, and I'm going to straighten my arm. Okay, now I'm going to breathe in, breathe out. Breathing in. Right? And this entire time, my right glute is working pretty hard. Okay? Breathing in. Again, maybe I'll do 5 on each side and switch. Maybe I would do more. That depends on your fitness level. Now you can hold that glute bridge for a couple seconds in between each pullover, right? If you want to. But I really like this because not only am I getting glute activation, not only am I getting that overhead pulling motion, working my lats, but I'm also getting some core stability out of this, right? Because my body has to keep me from tipping over. So, like most good exercises, I took this from somebody else. There's a great coach named Eric Cressy, who I'm always getting great information from. So he's actually one that I got that exercise from. Pretty much, I just try to take things that work and implement them, keeping within our whole basic philosophy, which is we're training basic movements, right? We're not isolating muscle groups. We're not training like bodybuilders where we're like, oh, we're going to do arms today. No, we're training basic movements. We're squatting, we're hip hinging, and we're pushing and we're pulling, right? That's really what strength training should be boiled down to. Now, so those are basically, just with those 2 exercises, I would alternate those till you've done 3 or 4 sets of each exercise. That checks a lot of boxes, right? So we've got our knee dominant done, we've got our hip dominant done, we've got our overhead press done, we've got our overhead pull done. Now the only thing that's missing is we got to work our horizontal push and our horizontal pull, okay? So in my opinion, the single best horizontal pushing exercise you can do is push-ups because you get core stability. That tends to be very kind on your shoulders because as I'm pushing, as opposed to when I'm flat on a bench and my scapula can't move, they're pinned to the bench. When I'm doing push-ups, you're going to see my shoulder blades are able to retract and protract a little bit as I'm doing the movement, okay? So Also, what I like about push-ups is they're very easy to make more difficult or they make easier, okay? So the basic push-up, and I've had other videos that I put out before for this, so I mean, this should be not new information, but it's always good to go over it. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get my hands slightly placed out, okay? They're a little wider than shoulder width, okay? I'm gonna have my head in neutral position. When I go down to do this push-up, what you're going to notice is that my arms are going to come out about 30 to 45 degrees from my body. A lot of times when I have people do push-ups, those elbows will flare way out there, right? Your shoulders are not going to like that. So I want to think about keeping about a 30 to 45 degree angle here, okay? So I'm going to come here, I'm going to breathe in, right? I'm really looking to just touch my nose to the ground. And again, I might do 5 to 10 of those depending on how difficult the variation I'm doing, okay? A lot of you won't be able to do good push-ups. That's fine. It's very simple to make push-ups easier, right? I don't like these push-ups at all, right? I don't like these because we lose a lot of the core benefit. So what we're going to do is we're going to have you on a bench or your kitchen counter, any elevated surface. You're just going to push off something. Now my hands are higher than my feet, right? So now since my hands are higher than my feet, this push-up is way easier, okay? For some of you who are strong and you want to make the push-up more difficult, you're going to put your feet higher than your hands, right? Now my feet are higher than my hands, okay? Now this just got a little more difficult. But what you're going to notice is in any variation, I'm not letting my hips sag down like that, okay? And I'm keeping my head in neutral position. So make sure, keep your head in the neutral position like so. And keep your spine engaged, right? So we're here, we're never here, okay? And we're never looking up like this. A lot of people like trying to like check themselves in the mirror and stuff when they're doing push-ups. Just keep your head lined up with the rest of your body, right? You want your whole spine lined up. So that's going to satisfy our horizontal push, okay? I also put out a video like a couple weeks ago where I demonstrated a much more challenging push-up variation called Yoga Spider-Man push-ups. And those are not only very difficult, but with yoga push-ups, you also get the vertical press put into it because at the top of each push-up, I'm also getting that overhead pressing motion, right? So yoga push-ups are another good option if you don't have anything like my little handy-dandy water jug there that you feel you want to do the overhead press with. You can always substitute yoga push-ups. So lastly, and I would say this is probably the most neglected thing. I've been looking at some of these workouts that people are putting out on the internet, and there's a lot of pushing stuff, and there's a lot of leg stuff, but nobody's doing any pulling movements, right? Well, that's going to be problems for your shoulder because you want to balance your pulling strength with your pushing strength, okay? So one-arm rows are a really simple pulling exercise, a horizontal pulling exercise that you can do. And I just grabbed like a toolbox that was in my basement to demonstrate. This could be a duffel bag. It could be one of those big water jugs. If you're lucky enough to have a dumbbell laying around your house, you know, this would be a thing that you could use it for. But you'll have to use your own imagination, okay? So when I do my rows, I'm going to set myself up with my back straight, my knees pushed out, okay? What I don't want to do is be set up like this. What I want to be is set up like this, okay? I'm going to take this, and I'm going to pull this up. And just like with the push-ups, you're going to notice my scapula is moving a little bit. That's totally natural, right? We want that scapula to move. It's going to protract a little bit, and then it's going to retract when I pull it back, okay? And just like with the push-ups, my elbow is about 30 to 45 degrees out from my ribs as I'm doing this, right? I'm not way out here. So again, if this weight was very light, I might do more reps. I might do like 10 reps, okay? If this weight is very heavy for me, I would do less reps. I might just do only 5 reps per side. Okay, so you're going to do your right arm, and then you're going to switch, and you're going to do your left arm. And again, you would just alternate the push-ups with the rows until you've done 3 or 4 sets. Now, as a bonus, if you happen to have a heavy object around your house that's heavy enough to be challenging to carry around, then you can do suitcase carries. Suitcase carries are fantastic because they're going to work your obliques and your transverse abdominis, your hip stability, your grip strength, your trapezius. And what suitcase carries are, they're just like what they sound like, you know. Maybe you even have an old suitcase that you can load up and carry. I'm just going to hold something in one hand. I'm going to keep my abs engaged. I'm going to keep my head in good position, right? I'm not going to have my head looking up, and I would just walk. You know, I could walk across the room, I could walk down the hallway, right? So however long, and I'm just working with a really small space here, of course. Okay? So however far you're going to walk with it, then I would set it down, okay? Pick it up. And obviously, if this is a heavy object, it's going to be sort of tipping you over, right? So your core and hips, your body has to solve that problem of not getting tipped over, right? And then you do your carries. That develops some really good strength and stability everywhere from your ankles, your hips, your core, your grip strength, your neck. So those loaded carries can be a very nice addition to your strength training routine if you've got something heavy enough to carry around. So again, these exercises that I've shown you, you could either do all of them in one workout, and you could maybe do that workout every other day, or you could separate them. You could do the upper body, you know, the push-ups and the rows one day, and then the next day you could do the squat and the overhead press, and then that glute bridge with the pullover that I showed you, right? So there's tons of other exercises out there that you could do. These are just a few really simple ones that go together, and they form a pretty complete strength training program, at least initially. You know, now granted, when you go back to the gym, or if you go out and you buy some kettlebells and dumbbells, there's going to be many more possibilities of things you can do. But my motivation in making this film or this short video is just to give you all a good strength training routine if you don't have any equipment and very little space to work with. So hopefully this has been helpful info for you.